You're listening to Edging the Truth.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome once again to Edging the Truth. We are in episode 12, where we are discussing a fun little conspiracy that I think it's very interesting to me, I thought, because I think it involves so many things. I feel like there's corporate greed in this story. I feel like we got sports, and we got sports betting, just a ton of money, and just I think it's an interesting thing. And of course, we are talking about the mystery of the 1998 World Cup final and the mysterious illness of the original Ronaldo. Ronaldo, what was the name there, Fudge?
Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima.
Now, I had him say that because I felt like his accent worked perfectly for the name. Did you hear he really leaned into it? It was perfect.
Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima.
See?
Carmen would be proud.
Perfect. Like a native
Shout out
speaker,
Carmen.
that guy. But this is a story of a year that Brazil was going to the finals of the World Cup, as it does not take you to be that even in a circumference of soccer to know that Brazil's been good at soccer forever and that they've won a bunch of these things. And, flags have been waved. Things have happened. I'm sure many, many boobs were pulled out, winning soccer stuff. And but this particular game and this particular year, Brazil had been so dominant in every single game, just destroying, especially Ronaldo, multi-points every single game of that whole series all the way to the end. Like, he was the star player. And somehow, before this final game, the night before, the day before, players went and had a meal, went back to the hotel. Many different reports, as we will kind of go through, say something medically happened to Ronaldo. And then, a lot of stuff happened in the next 24 hours transpiring. He was pulled off the starting team roster. He was pulled back into the starting team roster a half hour before the game was supposed to start. And many things that occurred in every single game that Brazil had pretty much played ever in their entire history of soccer did not occur. And so it was very strange all the way around, so many angles, so many things. And so we'll just kind of talk about it. So first, I'm going to throw to you, Andy. First of all, let me just go to the crew first. I got to talk about the crew. I mean, we got Andy down here, looking so sexy, selling those cars. We got David up here, rocking the shit, doing the stuff. Really, I'm just going to give him a shout out for look at the shirt. He's wearing the Edging the Truth shirt. I didn't even have to
his
prompt
tits around.
you guys like that. That's a true salesman. I didn't even have to tell him to get up to show the shirt. He already showed it. And of course, we got right here the coming back off his Vegas extravaganza, where he basically got deep in every single tournament he played, every single one. Like it was just like there was no question. He was like, "Oh no, we're on the next round." I was like, "Oh yeah, we know." And that is Mikey, One Lung the Dart Daddy, and welcome, fellas. And as I said, you guys have seen this thing. I was really interested in this thing because of so many angles. I really looked deep into a lot of different things. So, Andy, I'm going to throw it to you. And just, tell us what you think of this story. And, just tell us what you fill in the blanks for us. I've kind of given us the outline because I wanted to let you guys to fill in some of these facts on stuff, and so we can have a discussion on it. So tell me what you think.
So, yeah, a little background. So, Ronaldo, this is kind of early in his career. He had just burst on the scene the year before. In 1998, we're talking about a 21-year-old kid playing for Inter Milan in the Serie A, one of the best football leagues in the world, where he scored 34 goals. In the World Cup leading up to this championship round, he had 4 goals already. He was on pace to win the Ballon d'Or, which is given to the top soccer player in the world each year. He had won it the previous year in 1997, and pretty much everybody said he was one good performance away in the finals from winning that. So then we enter, like you said, they go to a team lunch, or he's in his room, and his roommate notices that he starts convulsing, which we're kind of talking about this a little bit before. Like, some people say convulsing. There was one report that said it was a heart attack. There's some people saying it was seizures.
That's why I just said something medically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because they just said it was something medically. We'll never fill that in. That's why,
Right. And
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. My bad.
This guy. So they said to last for about 30 to 40 seconds. His roommate kind of calls out for help. Some more of his teammates run into the room, kind of see what's happening. He takes a nap, and then he's taken to the hospital.
He takes a nap. That's always my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, they said he fell asleep. I kind of thought that meant he passed out. I mean, I just assumed that's what that was the code speak for.
I saw something said he took a nap.
Yeah.
Whatever, right, interpret it however you will, but it's weird that he wouldn't be rushed to the hospital immediately. Then when he gets to the hospital, there's like conflicting reports. I feel like they don't really know what's wrong with him. He has, the team doctor completely clearing him, the trainer saying no, he's not available to play. It was just really, really murky, really some shady shit. I think some of the more interesting points for me was the Brazilian national team had just signed like a $105 million deal with Nike to be their exclusive outfitters. There were said to be Nike officials around the team 24/7. Ronaldo had his own personal deal with Nike where he had to appear for Brazil every 2 years, or he loses his contract, becomes null and void. I think there's also an interesting angle here. The 1998 World Cup was being played in France. Brazil was going up against France in the World Cup, World Cup in the final, the home country. There were problems going on socially at that time in France. There was a brand new FIFA commissioner, Sepp Blatter, who we know is a crook and got proved of doing a bunch of wrong things as the commissioner of FIFA. So the other conspiracy was that the Brazilians accepted $25 million or something like that to lose the final, make France feel good about themselves, kind of get the public off the French government's back a little bit, and everybody's happy. Then in return, obviously Brazil gets paid, and then their road to the final in the 2002 World Cup was said to be made much easier. They end up winning the World Cup in 2002. I thought those were the two most valid things, at least to me, where if he did, have convulsions or have some medical thing and he shouldn't be out there, Nike was like, no, you are the face of soccer. You're the face of our brand in this part of the world right now. It's the World Cup. I mean, it's one of the most watched, if not the most watched sporting event in the world every time it comes around. And he was like appointment television for soccer fans. 34 goals in one season in the Serie A. He already had netted 4 goals in the tournament going up to this. I mean, the French team literally based their entire game plan on how can we slow this guy down? How do we neutralize him? Because if we do that, we can win. Well, if he's fucked up from a heart attack, convulsions, maybe, when they went out and somebody put some shit in his food, or, maybe these French doctors, the Brazilians speculate that the French doctors sabotaged him, which could absolutely be true. We know how crazy people are about soccer.
100%.
So, I mean, I think, to me, the most plausible things here are, one, it was rigged for the French by FIFA and that crooked-ass bitch Sepp Blatter, or fucking some stinky Frenchman put something in Ronaldo's food and or something happened.
Gave him the old stink finger.
And he got fucked with.
He got giardia.
Apologies to any French listeners. I don't actually think you're stinky.
Or he got a roofie or whatever. Yeah,
it's I don't know. I feel like, and obviously we'll see what the rest of the guys think and fill in some more stuff that I'm not getting to, and I'm interested to hear more of your gambling things that you found, Brian, because
Yes.
we all know I'm never
Enjoy.
not one to make a wager. But yeah, so let's move on to somebody else.
Yeah, and I think, like, I'm just gonna like put this out even early on, that I think this is one where more than one these conspiracies could be true.
Yeah.
At the same time, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Red, tell me what you think about this. What's your take on this? You've heard what Fudge is. If you think we're missing any details that you found interesting, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I know there was, to add to maybe why whatever happened to Ronaldo, medically happened. I know there was a lot of discussion about his, the pressure on him. I know that I read in one of the articles that quoted Zidane about the pressure he felt going into that match, especially representing his country and all that stuff. And so obviously this is a dude who had the weight of the entire soccer world on his shoulders going into this match. Also quoted was that potentially his girlfriend was having an affair with somebody at the time, and that could have, kept his focus from being 100%. There was talk that potentially he was given a Valium for his nervousness, for his stress. Could he have been given something other than Valium? Absolutely. By mistake or intentionally, I think. I think you're also dealing with, there was also a report of a sort of mystery medical person who was involved with some of this stuff that was not the team doctor, that was not a hospital official. There was one of the articles we read, there was a story about another sort of a medical person being involved with the testing and administering of stuff. And, I feel like there's a lot of potential for maybe a wrong dosage, improperly administered, maybe didn't check for allergy. I mean, who knows? There's so many things. If we're talking multiple things, let's say he got a cortisone shot, which supposedly he also did get for knee issues. Are there things that you can be administered that conflict with what you're getting as in terms of cortisone that could cause a reaction that maybe is seizure-like, or we definitely know that there are allergic reactions that quote unquote mimic seizures or are seizures, in fact. So I feel like all of those things are possible. I think it's very reasonable to say if you were in the hospital, you're probably not up for going out and being on a soccer field, regardless of whether you were well or not. That's a physically and emotionally taxing thing to just go do, to be in a hospital, go through tests, do all that stuff. I mean, One Lung, you can speak to that here in a second. It isn't just the physical exertion of doing the match that he maybe was at a deficit from. It was just the physical exertion of, heck, having a seizure and foaming at the mouth, and then having to deal with going to the hospital and a variety of tests and being, fluids taken and blah, 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 blah. I think all of those things seem totally reasonable and totally would explain why he wouldn't be on the starting list, and totally makes sense why when he finally was put in for whatever reason that he wasn't that great. I think all of that is very logical. Now, the why he comes back in, why does he get put back on the list? Well, he himself said he asked to play. He said, "Look, there's nothing wrong with me. I want to play. I'm ready to play." He has said that both at the time, right after the event, and in more contemporaneous interviews. So he definitely wanted to play. Now, could he have been pressured by Nike? Absolutely. We are talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. The potential payoff and the conspiracy with FIFA, that seems like almost a no-brainer to me. Of being, whether it's the amount is correct of $23 million or whatever, I think that doesn't even matter. If it was $1 million, it's still a bribe and corruption and all that stuff. Do I think that Ronaldo went out there to enable that? I don't. I can't imagine those two things are part of the same story. It wouldn't surprise me if that's why the coach put him in, knowing that would diminish their chances. You know what I mean? To go, okay, well, if I put Ronaldo in, I win both ways. I win with Nike, and I win with sabotaging the game. So those things don't those things all seem like they would fit together. But if the theory is that at the end of the day that Ronaldo tanked, that I don't buy. I feel like that that's not. I can't picture that dude being like that. From all the interviews that we saw and the kind of champion that athletes are when they have that mindset, that just seems so crazy to me. And it would what was the benefit? What was the financial benefit? He had millions of dollars, right, with these deals. It's not like more millions of dollars was going to help him out. This guy's living the life of luxury for the rest of his life potentially. So,
yeah, win or lose, he made it to the World Cup finals and was getting paid.
and then went again 4 years later and won it and still got all the accolades and got the Golden Balloon Award and all that stuff. So, and again, there was an official
Golden Balloon Award,
and also got there was an official inquest by the Brazilian government into this, and they didn't find any, nothing seemed out of place to them, and so in a way that there's a part of me that's like, well. Yeah, all of these things could also be just explained as the events that happened. Dude got sick. He wanted to play. They put him in. They sucked. Big deal. Right? Like that. That's definitely happened in sports before, right?
Yep.
So that seems just as believable to me as a massive conspiracy theory, which obviously involves many people, if it's a conspiracy theory, right? So that's, I guess, where I'm at. I feel like this is very believable. But not Ronaldo tanking in the sake of money. That I don't buy.
Yeah, for the sake of tanking. All right, so I'm gonna pull it back and I'm gonna throw it back out to One Lung here. Your thoughts on the Ronaldo scandal, the conspiracy theories.
So I actually I kind of lean towards Andy's point of view on this, and I think that it's interesting the fact that France was going through so many social things that, they really were trying to get out of. And this was kind of a really good situation for actually both Brazil and France. Brazil was promised to kind of an easy way to get a win on the next World Cup, plus to be a hosting country of the World Cup within the next decade. And for any of you that know, Brazil would be it's huge for Brazil, and then they did host the World Cup, and that it brought so much money and accolades to the country as well that it made it kind of like, okay, if we tank this one, we can have this, we can have all this, and I think that you kind of look at the psychology around being sick and going to a hospital. It doesn't just affect the psychology of that person, but of the entire team, because then you got your teammates are thinking, oh, he's not well, do we kick him the ball? Do we keep it away from him? Do we try and help him? How do we help him? And now you've got all that pressure on not just Ronaldo, but on the entire team. So it's not even about Ronaldo tanking, but I think that there were bigger fish out there that were making the plans to allow this to happen. So I definitely think that that there was something behind it, but again, and like Dave said, I don't think it had anything to do with Ronaldo. I don't think he had any tanking. I don't think that's the mentality of a champion like that. Did he want to go in and did he want to play? Heck yes, he did. He went to the coach and was like, hey, look, all my tests are good. I'm good. Put me in. And I think that's the heart of any team. I mean, look at Jordan when he was sick and playing in the championships. Totally. He wanted to play. Did he have the flu? Yeah, he did. But he played. It's the same thing. I don't know that that's going to be the sole reason that you lose, but you put that plus the rest of the team knowing that you're sick, like it's bound to play a factor. The benefit that France got by winning on the social side, like that country needed that at that time.
Yeah,
like they were going through a ton of stuff. Getting a World Cup win is huge, right? And getting a World Cup win while it's at your home is even bigger, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there definitely is some foul play here. I don't think Ronaldo had a piece of it, but I think that you look at it and there's just too many hands in the pot to say, nothing happened. So.
Well, and to add to what you said, Long, there were definitely reports that the team became incredibly divided on the field in terms of pro Ronaldo being out there and con, against Ronaldo being out there. And so again, I feel like even just that, and no major crazy conspiracy theories aside, just that fact alone means they're probably not going to win, right? They're not acting as a team. There are also reports from even people like Pele, who acted as a commentator, who was like, I'm not a fan of this team. I'm glad they didn't win because they're not playing that good and they don't deserve to win playing at this level and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, they're definitely, I feel like there's plenty of mental whatever at work with these players on the field in the moment. That's not just about playing the game in the moment. That and of course that is the thing, right? Like it's being out of your head when you're playing, right? And so to be completely in your head in that moment, and certainly not about game details to me, I feel like all of that stuff is a real easy explanation for why they didn't win.
Yeah, 100%. And I think just inserting that little bit of doubt in a team's mental state. When you're going against another world-class team,
At that level.
you're already, playing someone that's very good.
Yeah.
So now you've got that little bit of a mental divide, and you've got that, stress in there. It's really easy to see why they would lose. And then Brazil gets what they get, France gets what they get. Makes sense.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to swing it back in here and just kind of, really just kind of look at all these different angles. Everything, no matter which version of this story you read, it all starts with, like, the cafe, and they were eating in the home country. Could it be as simple as the conspiracy of food poisoning that some Frenchmen went out of their way to do that, or even I think that is probably, like, sometimes Arkham Razor, the most simple answer is the right one. And, like, I think that's, like, right there. It's like, yeah, some Frenchie poisoned him because they wanted to win.
or even
and
accidentally.
Who knows if they got more of the other team? Because they poisoned the whole goddamn team, and we only hear about this one while everybody else was getting medical attention, So it could have swept through the locker room. We don't know because they only focus on one guy. Yeah. So, the heart attack angle, but it's also so many other medical things that could have gone on, all this stuff that could have happened to him, and it's like if there was anything that would happen to him, he would have been at the hospital instantly. But moreover, and even if people were like, well, the French doctors didn't take care of him, well, there's no way that there wasn't some sort of representative of the team or something with him, like the entire time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's their star money player. They don't just let him walk in the back and good luck to you, sir. There's like I said, there was someone from Nike at the hospital. I guarantee that. But the home country bribe angle, which is, it's that whole thing, also entirely possible that, especially if he did get food poisoning or something, and, the government steps in and goes, hey, you do this for us, we need this right now for our thing, here's some money, everybody wins. FIFA goes along with it because they want to make all these big countries happy and get that money. And like to think that maybe the French still took advantage of the situation in this whole bribe because they needed that dub, and that they took advantage of that situation. That it was more just like the opportunity presented itself and took it. And I think that could also be very possible, which believes, because if the Brazilian government did a thing and they're the ones that were in the deal and they investigated themselves, they'd be like, yeah, we didn't find nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
The trouble in the locker room thing after, that's, I feel like, a whole other conspiracy as well. There was 2 locker rooms divided, and I could definitely see that if the dude had any kind of, if you saw your teammate foaming at the mouth or pass out or, whatever, die, heart attack, whatever the hell happened, that would probably shake you. Like I said, you're already stressed out, the highest level game of your life for so many of these people. And also, it could be the same thing of, well, the guy maybe had a little food poisoning, and of course, with all these people in his ear, Nike, all these people overmanaged at a critical time, over medicated, over whatever. And it's just one of those things from my personal story on this too. Was I was in high school, And like my senior year playing, I went all state and stuff. Like I dislocated my shoulder for a lot of that season, and they would just pop it in and give me a shot and push me back out there. And that was high school. Okay. And yeah, I played on half that season on a broken ankle where like the team training guy's like, no, you good. We'll just do some physical therapy stuff for you. Like it was a broken ankle, like x-rays. And I still played on it because, had to play for the team. And that was high school. So you can't even imagine at this level, they're just like, no, he's good. He's good. Get him up there. Prop him up there. Especially
isn't that where this whole kind of the idea of a conspiracy theory sort of starts, is because they said, when they announced the list and he's not on it, the explanation was he's re-aggravated this ankle injury. And I think when it was found out that clearly the ankle injury wasn't the problem, then it's like, well, then why did you lie at the beginning if not to hide something else, right? I think that's where the conspiracy theory stuff always comes up, when you've got a definite marker of impropriety, which that for sure was. It sets everything else afterwards in doubt, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, and that's exactly it. And that's why I think so many of these things could be true, because there's so many plausible, frankly, easily explainable storylines of it for everything. Is be like, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, some of these I feel like there's, even for many of these angles, I don't feel like there's really a lot of things that I can be like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, this isn't like lizard people.
Yeah, a lot of these are like really they could be true, and that brings me into kind of the betting lines portion of this. When all of this happened in this 24-hour period, I mean, there was a huge financial shift in the betting community on every front. You know what I'm saying? Like like I said, opportunity presented itself, and I think a lot of people jumped through that window because a lot of money shifted hands, a lot of things changes hands. France was the deep underdog, so everybody who was betting France was making big money. And that fucking line shot up and then shot down, once he was sick, but like it was still enough that everybody was still, I mean, it's so much. It's just a global betting thing. It wasn't like it's not just happening in France, but even corporations and all that stuff had so much riding on it. Nike, all these people, there's just so much money to be had here, and even some of the players I feel like were like, I'm gonna bet on myself right now. Like that was also. And this is also. Could anybody find this game? Has anybody seen this game? Did anybody in all the stuff they looked at?
I saw footage, but not the full game.
Yeah, I haven't found shit on this game, which also is like in this day and age with the throwbacks, and especially because it had controversy, because some of these articles that we found in our research are recent, 2019, 2017. Yeah. Like that's like, all right, we have internet on computers a lot right now, and people love to get that old footage. Is that an NFT somewhere? Is somebody owns that?
I bet FIFA owns it, and I bet they have it under a paywall or something like that.
But I feel like this whole thing of him throwing the game and stuff too, and like is the food poisoning a cover and all this stuff? Did he owe somebody money? Was it some other things? There's that whole thing, and because the betting lines and all that stuff, and that is real world money that shifted. And so back to you, Andy, like, what do you think of like the frankly the betting conspiracy about this? That it was that he did throw the game and all these series of events, and like maybe if people knew he was throwing the game, or maybe multiple players had to throw the game. You know what I'm saying? Or especially that's why the locker room was divided, because France told them they had to throw the game. And they're like, I don't want to play the game I know I'm going to lose. I mean,
back in those days, I mean, it was dirty.
That's what I'm saying.
And I mean, this is a big event like this. You absolutely, the amount of money that was on the line. I absolutely can. I mean, think about what happened. This was like way before that, but the old White Sox scandal, the Black Sox, that got all of those guys that reportedly took money from the mob or whatever. You don't think the mob could find access to the most popular soccer player in the world at that point? Or not even that, but they could get infiltrated through Nike. Maybe it's not the players throwing the game, maybe it's had something to do with the higher ups, the manager.
French government needed a dub. I mean, the French government needed a dub. And the Brazilian government, frankly, is especially at that time, was a much lesser government than the because even Brazil's government had that like, corruption stuff and all that stuff for years. So it's it was so it wouldn't be surprising. And it was the 90s. We were still in the fledgling internets.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot easier to do that and not get caught. Really, back in the day.
A lot of more paper bets and stuff like that. A lot less digital. A lot more money in buildings. So,
and let's just talk about the fluctuation of that betting line at that point, like going from
I'll throw it
way
to
down to way up to way down,
like I mean, you are the Dart Daddy. You're in the sports stuff, man. Like I said, there's so much money on the line. I mean, what are your thoughts of this as just a sports conspiracy? As no one like team divided because they were trying to throw the game. I mean, that's really it. Like,
I think that there's so many things that go into the factors of what the betting line is at, right? And so you have the number one player on the top seeded team going into the final game, and he gets sick. What happens to that betting line? It completely transverses, and now you've got everybody that was betting on one side thinking, "Oh shit, I need to cover myself," so they swing it back the other way. Oh man, and to me out of everything, that's the thing that gets me the most excited about this thing. It's just like watching that market. It really is like a stock market. Watching that just, ebb and flow. It's crazy. I mean, I think that if you have the right powers behind it, moving that dial, they're gonna make it move the way they want it to move. And so whether it's the mob, the French, the Brazilian, Nike, FIFA, whoever is behind it that wants that market to go the way they want it to go, they're going to move that way.
Yeah, because it's like, it's like, did it could have been the mob that had the restaurant guy poison him or the team or whatever, it's like it's just because there's
or had the doctor give him the wrong medication
I mean, there's
whatever
so
many,
and like you said, fucking FIFA could have done it, especially if the whole French government says it. But let's just back to the betting part of it. Like they were so much the underdog. Like if Brazil was so dominant this entire tournament, basically the line was so high. I couldn't find what it was, but I mean, like
I think I might have found it. So I think Brazil to win was plus 235, and France to win was plus 320. That was like at
the highest
at kickoff, I think.
Well, who was minus?
And then to draw was plus 270.
But still, but they were the heavy favorite before that. Like a lot of people bet the favorite because it's the favorite for a reason, and all of a sudden, within 24 hours, their favorite went from being the favorite to being uncertain. And so many things. You bet right up till the game starts, and like I'm sure money was flying around, especially if you put like a mill or some stuff on that, but all of a sudden the line went the other way and you'd be all in on France to get your money back and make money. So like that was a lot of money being
Andy,
bet.
for our listeners at home, can you explain what the plus and the minuses mean?
So that would mean it's just like so if you bet $10 and it's a plus 200, you're getting 2 times your money. If you bet
200% is what the 200 is.
Yeah,
and then if you say it's like if it's minus 200, you bet $10, you would win $5. So it's just a percentage of winnings.
Yeah. So if it's plus it's $1 and it's plus 100, you bet $1 on plus 100, you'll win your dollar back plus $1. If it's minus 100, you have to bet $2 to win
to get
$1.
Basically,
you have to bet like double to win half.
Yep.
So the favorites usually it'll be minus, but in soccer, since it's such a crapshoot, and to bet just the full 90 minutes, normally both teams are plus money.
A plus, yeah.
Depending on the situation. Here I've been Googling trying to find the lines, but I just can't. I don't know if
I
there's an
told you, I
article
looked.
about it or
I looked. I can't
'cause
find lines and I can't find footage, like real, like extended footage of the actual soccer game to see.
so
Because even the clips are just Ronaldo, and it's like a one man to still not a soccer game make. What happened with everybody else?
Yeah.
Because I'm still not ruling out that the team wasn't poisoned.
Well, like I said, when somebody your star player is sick, or like even from last week, when one of my players on my team was not feeling good, like the rest of us get that stress put on us because we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we all got to shoot better because one of our players isn't shooting well, or in this case, that entire team is thinking, oh, we got to pick it up for Ronaldo. It's psychology, like total mind fuck.
Well, talk about psychology. We mentioned earlier, the kid was a 21-year-old kid at this point, and he was the face of the soccer world, the sports world. He was getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars in endorsements and salary, and all eyes were on him. Can you imagine being 21 and thinking being the top fucking athlete in the world, and you find out your chick's fucking banging somebody else or all this shit? There's a lot of factors.
Mental game.
The
He
nervous
just went through a
breakdown.
medical issue.
It could be the simplest explanation.
Nervous
He
break-
just choked. It's just the biggest choke of our time.
It could.
There's been bigger chokes.
Yeah, I think one thing I wanted to talk about is kind of compare their roads to the finals from the 1998 and the 2002. So I pulled it up here. So in '98. In group play, they played Scotland. They beat them 2-1. At the time, Scotland was ranked 55th in the world.
Okay.
They beat Morocco 3-0. Morocco was ranked 39th. So these are not great teams. They lost to Norway 2-1 in group play. Norway was 33rd, so a little bit higher there. That's still a huge upset. Then they beat Chile 4-1. Chile was 45th, so they were the second-ranked team in the world. In their group, they had
they still lost one.
Yeah, they had 55th. 33rd, 39th with them, right? Around
easy.
there.
Low ranked.
And then in the finals.
And in the quarterfinals, they played Denmark, who actually was pretty solid. They were still ranked 20th in the world. They beat Denmark 2-1. No, I'm sorry. They beat Denmark 3-2. They go to extra time and a penalty shootout against the Netherlands that was tied 1-1. They win the penalties 4-2. Ronaldo scored that one goal and then the first goal of the penalties.
Yeah.
And at that time, the Netherlands was 9th in the world, so that's a big game. That's a top 10 matchup. Then obviously you get to France. France was ranked number 1, and they. Well, I think at going into the game, Brazil was ranked 1. After the World Cup, France was obviously promoted to the number 1 team in the world. So if you compare that to the teams they played in 2002, they beat. So in 1998 they went 5-2 in the tournament. In 2002 they went undefeated. They did not lose in group play or obviously in the knockout stages. So in 2002, oh shit. All those rankings I just said for 98 were the rankings for 2002.
That was 2002.
I figured because I was like, they seem to be playing really low-seeded teams for those years. I thought it was, but still, all right. So just switch it to it applies.
It still applies. So 2002, they played Turkey. They beat them 2-1. Turkey had a red card in the game. Turkey was 22. They played China. China was super low. China was 50th. Costa Rica. Costa Rica wasn't high.
I mean, it feels like these are
Costa
somewhat
Rica's
equal.
29th.
And if you've tuned in, it just sounds like we're ranking countries.
We are just ranking countries.
Also, red cards are bad in soccer if you don't know.
Belgium is 23rd.
I mean,
Beat them
actually,
2-0.
it's higher. It's higher. It's
Yeah, the point is,
better
earlier was
teams
a higher
in 20
seed.
in
Yes, they were,
2002.
yes, so like I said, that's why that even pans out. But also that I feel like that's also hard too because just general FIFA, normal FIFA corruption. That 2002, there's plenty of years of FIFA corruption in there. They just wanted Brazil, which was the hottest commodity still in soccer, even after they lost.
So
to make
listen
that
to this. In the knockout rounds, they played England. They beat them 2-1. England was ranked 12th. Then they played Turkey again and beat them 1-0 in the semifinals. And then they played Germany in the final. Germany was the 11th ranked team in the final. So they go from having to play, a number one in France. France was the number one team in 2002. These are the rankings I was talking about earlier. Of course, I fucked that up. So anyway, my point stands. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
If we're diving deep into that theory, was it an easier road? They certainly beat up on the teams a little bit more. They won a game by 4 goals. They won a game by 3 goals. And then, they win 2-0 in the final, 1-0 in the semis, 2-1 over England
were a
in
better
the
team.
quarterfinals. Yeah, it could have just been.
Also
it
true.
could be as simple as that. It could have just been, instead of a 21-year-old Ronaldo, you have a 24-year-old Ronaldo, who, by the way, won the Ballon d'Or, the best player in the world, in 2002.
That's the Golden Balloon.
Yes.
The Golden Balloon Award, excuse me.
Was that the red balloon?
99 of them.
He won 99 of them.
Yeah, he won 99 of them.
Boom,
But he was fully back, and it kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever going to put the 1998 thing behind him, but I guess there's a little smoke to that theory. But if you look at, I'm going to have to look up the fucking 1998 rankings now and see if I sound stupid or not.
Well, I'll just throw in while you're looking those up. Back to the slightly on the gambling thing. I've thought a little bit about this now while we've been talking about it, and I feel like the gambling angle definitely can benefit everybody except Nike, right? Nike's investment is in Brazil, and so to have
it was Ronaldo was their investment.
well, and then
He just
I
had-
mean
he
it's
just had to be on the field.
Absolutely. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't to have it fluctuate doesn't benefit them financially. The only thing that benefits them financially is having Ronaldo on the field. So
the betting lines don't really impact Nike. Honestly.
That's not helping
But
Nike.
Nike's just general corporate greed. I just assume.
No. I'm not saying that Nike isn't a believable participant in this. I'm just saying I don't see that they have a role in the gambling aspect.
Unless Nike put a bet on them.
No.
Unless they're financially involved from a betting perspective. But I feel like we're talking about the size of Ronaldo's Nike contract. There's no way they were betting that much money. They weren't betting $100 million on the World Cup.
Well, yeah, especially not Nike.
their
care.
investment is in Ronaldo.
You don't know.
But if we look at it, they got their return on
Yeah,
investment.
they
Oh,
made
no,
more
without
than
a doubt.
$100
We're
because
still
he got
talking about it.
No.
today.
No, I without a doubt. I'm just saying that the line fluctuating, if there is a conspiracy behind having the betting go up and down to equally benefit the amount of money going into the pot for everybody to gain, regardless of who is going to win. To me, that benefits FIFA. That benefits the French team and the Brazilian team and everybody involved with any human being that's betting. But I don't believe that benefits Nike. I do believe, obviously, that there's believable conspiracy theory behind Nike wanting Ronaldo on the field, and that's why Ronaldo was on the field. And that is, again, I feel like all the stuff that we watched, they interviewed the wrong people. Why are there not more interviews with the coach about this? Why did
How about the execs at Nike?
Well,
I would have really liked to have heard more explanation from the coach about why did you Why was the decision made to put him in? Was it because he asked to be put in, or was it because of blah blah blah? And at this point, there's no reason to not to say I was pressured by Nike, or I was pressured by FIFA, or I was pressured by so and so. There's nothing wrong with that. These people are all long out of their positions. You're not throwing anybody under a bridge that hasn't already been probably thrown under one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I found the rankings, and they're a little bit higher than I thought.
For 98.
For 98. So the actual rank...
Because the point was they would have been higher in 98 because they didn't get the preferential treatment until 2002. That's the...
Exactly. So in 98, Scotland was like 39th, and that was the highest. Scotland was 36th. That was the highest team. That was the highest ranked team they played. Chile was 15th.
Chile.
Morocco was 16th.
So they played good teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were the top
Norway.
ranked team.
Norway was 11th. Denmark was 18th. So it's like the high. Yeah. So they actually did have an easier,
harder road. They had a harder road in the finals.
In 2002, it was easier. So that actually kind of lines up. I was an idiot reading off the wrong rankings, but I'm right, bitch.
You're right. So if you go back and you watch the episode out of order, it'll make total sense.
It'll make total sense. Red, we're going to need you to fix that.
Oh, yeah, there'll be no editing of that.
Okay. But it is interesting. So so Brazil was ranked number 1, May, April, March, February, December. France shot all the way up to number 2, but they were 18th in May, 25th in April, 14th in March, 6th in February, and 6th in December. So
no, they were just because they were home country. That's why.
But you have home field advantage as well, you know.
That
exactly.
is a huge thing in rankings, especially on the international stuff.
And nobody trying to murder you.
Nobody trying to murder. So I'm going to land this plane here and just say that I think that this entire story, a reason I liked it was because I feel like there's like 4 or 5 conspiracy theories here, and I don't feel like that you could really true 100% say no on necessarily all of them. You know, like I feel like a lot of them could be true, like
and more than one.
Yeah, and more than one, and a series of them, and a lot of those. It's like, well, conspiracy involves so many people and all that stuff, and I'm like, well, but it's more like a conspiracy almost happens as a moment of opportunity when a window's open and a group of people go through that window together. And that's, a conspiracy doesn't need to be necessarily super premeditated. It can be a conspiracy of opportunity. And that can also be a chain of events. But the first one saying food poisoning, 100% plausible. I think that's the simplest answer. I say yes to that. The whole like medical condition, heart attack, all of those things, and even just simple nerves. I think any of those medical things could have been contributed, that it could just be in simple, that he had nerves, a medical thing, something happened, wasn't playing his best. Also simple answer. I don't know if that's necessarily conspiracy. I think that's more like the thing to debunk all the conspiracies. The trouble in the team, like all these other things that I just don't think necessarily those single elements are their own conspiracy, that the team was divided, all that stuff. I think that's a sum of the whole medical thing and all that happened. I think that any of that infighting and all that stuff, and frankly it goes back to where they said the team didn't play good, which goes back to food poisoning because they might have been all sick. The home field FIFA is the other thing, and that is the whole, like I said, France needed to win. FIFA, like as we said, corrupt, and all of the stuff as we just laid out with the stats is that they had an easier road in 2002. And it was almost like handed to them. And yes, they could have gotten better, and yes, they could have all of that stuff, but there's still a lot of other... I'm sure if you really went back deep into it, I bet they got a lot of other easy games on their road to the World Cup, too, where they were all cakewalks.
But they also, like, we shouldn't diminish. Like, I mean, the Brazilians...
Oh, they've always been good at soccer forever. Nobody's saying, like, they're not good at soccer. It's just... But it's still much easier to win when you stack the deck, even if you're the best in the world.
For sure.
Sure. And then the last, I think, conspiracy, but I still think plausible. And then the last conspiracy I feel like is the betting conspiracy, and I feel like that is very plausible as well. And that could be food poisoning. That could be so many other things in this chain of events. The medical guy giving them.
Could be all of them.
It could be all of them because there's so much money. Honestly, the one that I'm a no on is Nike. I'm like, Nike just wanted their guy in the field. and that's the corporate it, and that's it. And like that's not a conspiracy. That's just Nike being Nike. There's no conspiracy there. Did Nike want on the field? Fuck yeah, they did. I'm sure that they pushed for everything, and if the coach said no, and they sat him, Nike would have been pissed off, and the contracts would have been broken, and all this shit. But Nike's done that before, and they'll do it again. So, I don't think Nike has any part of any of these conspiracies. So I'm going to throw it around to you guys for one more time. So Red, your final on this. What's your nose, I guess, on these conspiracies? Because I feel like a lot of these, it's like I can't say no. So much of these things we do are cut and dry of, oh, no, I believe this, I don't believe that. But with this, it's so many of the, oh, I can see that. Oh, I can see that. And it's not because of just that one event. It's because of all the things you've seen in the history, because it has been so long. And the articles we read, the interviews that have been done, them winning the next World Cup handily with an easy thing, like all of these things just lead to that. Be like, then you go back to the original story and listen to it again. You're like, oh yeah, it's possible. It's very possible.
Yeah. I think the narrative. Again, we talk a lot about what facts can we rely on in this story, and I think the facts that we can definitely rely on is that something medically did happen to this guy, and it was severe, whether it was a heart attack or a seizure or some other kind of allergic reaction. That's a significant enough medical event that definitely happened. We also know that as a result of that, the coach did not put him on the list, and so therefore that caused all this craziness and doubt. And then of course he comes in and is playing and doesn't play well. Those are all facts. And again, regardless of what happens after that, I feel like that's the most believable narrative of what happened and why they didn't win. If that's if the conspiracy is why they didn't win, then that to me is believable. Does the financial thing of betting and FIFA corruption and all of that, does that maybe get layered on top, like you said, as a opportunistic play, if you will? I 100%. I have no doubt that's 100% possible. And again, I'm with you on the Nike thing. I think there's no reason to believe that Nike had anything to do with anything other than pressuring to have Ronaldo on the field, because that's their play. And if because he was on the field and a better player didn't play and that's why they lost, well, okay, then conspiracy theory solved. Fine. Regardless of why he was on the field, he did not play well and they did not win. But there's also a bunch of other dudes on the team that could have helped that team win.
Soccer's a team sport.
I think we're probably all in this boat in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'm very much in line with where you're at.
One, what's your thoughts on this? What's your nose on this conspiracy? All these layers.
So I actually think I'm pretty in line with you, Brian. I think that my only real no is that Nike didn't really other than wanting their guy on the field.
Other than natural corporate greed.
Their motto is just do it. And I think that is a good reason. They just, want you out there. They want you to just get out there. You can do it.
Come on.
But I think as far as everything else goes, like any of it could be true and any of it's plausible. I think that one thing that's kind of still the big key is like whatever medical ailment occurred, the psychology behind it is going to affect more than just him. Yeah. So, whether that team is not including him in plays that, they normally would because they're like, oh, he's not playing well because he's not feeling well, or they're babying around him, or, he's not playing well because, hey, I just went through something crazy, but I'm supposed to be out here for my team. All of that is definitely plausible. And then, you have the betting behind it where it's like, hey, he's not in, he is in, he is out. He's not feeling well. Why is he out? It's so crazy to think about. But I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the benefit that France receives and Brazil receives when this outcome occurs. Mm-hmm. You have the social and economic benefit that France receives by winning the World Cup on home field advantage, where they've been having trouble for, a few years.
Till now, even.
You have Brazil, who not only is going to get a free pass to the World Cup victory in the next one, plus a chance to host the World Cup within the decade, I think that there's too many benefits to look at to say, no, this didn't happen. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's the whole France thing and all that stuff. Yeah, I think that's very plausible too for a lot of this stuff. It's and well, because also that's the thing too is we have this and looking at this as a betting perspective as hindsight. You know, at the time, if you're like say we're at the casino like betting, and all of a sudden you're like overnight you like hear like, oh shit, he's out. I gotta go make my bet, and then 30 minutes before the game, he's back in. Everybody's like, "Oh shit, Brazil's gonna win for sure. Put your money right back." You know what I'm saying? Like it's the rush both ways, and basically that also means that kind of no matter what, the casino is gonna make money because they had money both ways, big time. So it's like that's.
It would be interesting to know who bet on France before all of it happened.
Well, yeah, because
those are the people.
Those people were locked
Those
in.
are the people
They were the home country folks that were just betting France because it's France.
That's information we'll never have.
Yeah,
but think about the money that they just made.
So much stuff.
Oh,
you know,
crazy money.
That throws us back to Moneybags, Andy. Tell us what you think.
I wish.
Tell us what you think about this. What's your no on this conspiracy? I mean, I honestly, like I said, I think that the government conspiracy, very plausible. I think the betting conspiracy, equally as plausible. So there are simple solutions too, but my friend, finish us out here. Tell me what you think.
I mean, there was money to be made by so many different parties here. Like, there's just a lot of different things that line up. Could it have been the stress of being a 21-year-old who's in front of the entire world, not being able to deal with that, with other personal issues maybe going on in the background that we aren't going to know about? Could it have been like that? The medical thing, it's just so weird. Like, he's a 21-year-old, kid, athlete in the prime of his career, and it just to randomly have convulsions with no like previous history of that kind of stuff. It's a head scratcher for sure. But it can happen to absolutely anybody. So you just never know. That's plausible to me. The Nike just having hundreds of millions of dollars on the line for him and, being the Brazil backers as well, and just wanting him out there for the brand makes a lot of sense. FIFA corruption makes a lot of sense to me as well. I don't even know that. I could be convinced of a lot of different things with this scenario. I feel like it's still pretty open and ambiguous as to, what kind of went down. And I don't know if I could really put my finger on one certain thing that I could say, I don't know if that happened.
Before you said being able to happen to anybody, my little sister, 26-year-old gymnast, very in shape, physically able, out on the couch last year, just all of a sudden just had a seizure, and ended up going to the doctors, and they couldn't find anything, no reason, and now they have her on medication just because they want to make sure it doesn't happen again. But like Andy said, it could happen to anybody. But
in times of stress, a lot of things happen to your body too.
Yeah,
we all know
exactly.
If you have anxiety or stress, trust me, a lot of shit can happen to your body to fucking throw you out of whack.
For sure.
But so I think, like, to just kind of put a button on it, I think a lot of this stuff, all of these things are plausible. I think that this is really our first one where so many conspiracies present themselves. So many of them could be totally plausible. I think we're in agreement on so many of these. I mean, we're kind of in agreement on every layer of this almost about what was a yes and what was a no, and this thing. But in the end, it could also just be the simplest thing is, team choked in the finals, like in the end, it's just the team lost, and all this stuff is everybody just trying to fill it all in, especially if you lost a lot of money and you're like, oh no, it was totally conspiracy. It wasn't.
Yeah, you gotta blame it on something. Yeah,
$1 million. It was like that's the whole thing too. Is that sometimes even just people, that's where some of these conspiracies come, is just somebody needs something to blame, and it becomes like an ethos.
I mean, it's the classic David versus Goliath story. Where David wins. Sometimes the underdogs do win. There is something to be said.
People love a Cinderella story, especially, like I said, France needed a dub.
Yeah,
They need it.
especially being the French players being on your home soil and everybody's counting you out. There is a certain chip on your shoulder that you do develop.
They could have
it is
just
very
played the
plausible.
best game.
It is very plausible. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're another little 4-way for us boys. All in agreement.
Norway.
Yeah.
So Red, you give us. We got some. We tell us about the shirts again. Show the people again. We got to book in this thing. Tell them where you get these shirts.
So yes, we
give
got
us
a
our
bunch
info.
of we got a bunch of merch in our store. Finally, you can go to shop.edgingthetruth.com. We've got 3 different basic T-shirts. We've got a little embroidered tie-dye shirt with our logo on it. We've got a hat. We've got a mouse pad and more stuff to come. We're most proud of, and I have yet to have mine arrive, but we've got a great design with Bigfoot and an alien shaking hands in the woods, harkening back to Brian's fabulous theory that Bigfoot was in fact
a revelation.
Yes,
It's not a theory. It's
an epiphany.
real.
An epiphany.
It's a revelation.
that Bigfoot was an alien. So we're really looking forward to that, and we're also looking forward to bringing you more fun stuff that kind of relates to the universe of Edging the Truth. We're working on it right now. We're working on a Ouija board design of some kind that has Edging the Truth somewhere built into that. So we would love to also hear from you at any time. You can call our voicemail line 917-979-6071. Again, that's 917-979-6071. And Andy offered up a brand new in the box HyperX mouse to anybody that calls into our voicemail line, and obviously we offered it to Zicky for being such a good guy for calling in, but he has no need for such things. He's well versed and stocked in expensive devices.
Mice.
Yes, in mice. So this is a item that is it still on the table there, Andy, or do we need to maybe offer up or make it a little spicier? I thought maybe we might. I thought I might sweeten the pot by throwing in a shirt of your choice.
Listen here, you fucking cocksuckers. I've been sitting on this for too goddamn long because you pieces of fucking shit won't call into the voicemail. We want to hear your stories, and we want to talk about them and tell you if you're stupid or if there might be something there. Disclaimer, we're all fucking stupid too. So call in the fucking voicemail line and get this mouse out of my house before I fucking charge you for it. God damn it.
Get
Thanks
the man's
for
mouse out
listening.
your house.
That is a salesman at work. That's a professional at work right
Yes.
there, ladies and gentlemen.
Call the thing. Also, I'd like to just take a quick opportunity before we wrap up to thank Zicky Dice and the Zicky Dice Outlandish Paradise 2. It was a good sponsorship for us. He's it was good sponsorship for us, and Zicky's a stand-up guy, and that's what I'm going to say about it. It was a great event. We will be part of Outlandish 3, I am sure. Some of us may even go there, so I just want to give a shout-out to Zicky Dice. Watch him on his Twitch, twitch.tv/Zicky Dice. Definitely a good guy to follow, as well as many of the great wrestlers that were on that show.
Yeah, you can still go watch that show for free on both his YouTube and on Twitch, twitch.tv or youtube.com/Zicky Dice. It was a fabulous show. Really fun show.
And I would like to say that guy got submitted because he got his toes sucked on, and that's why you don't have exposed feet.
Yeah, you did kind of call it, Brian. You called it.
That's how he went down.
Yeah,
that's how he went down.
Can't stop.
It is funny that happened that way.
100%. So, but yes, thank you, Zicky Dice. Fudge, give them there our Instagrams and all that stuff.
We are at Edging the Truth on all social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just go to www.edgingthetruth.com. It has all of our episodes on it. It has the YouTube video embedded right in there. It's got the listener embedded right in there. Or you can find us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of that good stuff. Just search Edging the Truth. Like and subscribe this video if you are like this video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are watching us, youtube.com/edgingthetruth. We appreciate all the support that we have had so far. It's been an awesome journey. We're looking forward to more and more episodes edging the truth. And, hopefully more arguments. And somebody just take this goddamn mouse off my hands.
Yes,
Jesus
please call.
Christ.
Please call.
Please call.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, that's also Ganja John, call the fucking voicemail line and stop being passive aggressive towards Red in the Discord and being like, when are you gonna have me on your podcast? Ugh, 5 is too many people, dude. Take a couple dabs, call the voicemail line, and get on the fucking show.
John, you've officially
Jesus
been called out.
Yes, and anybody else too. If you want to, be a part of this, call the voicemail line. Thank you for following us for this long. Go back and watch some of the old episodes. We're going to have more topics coming down the pipeline. I hope you enjoyed this one. I feel like there was a lot of layers to this story. And shout outs to old Ronaldo. Shout outs to new Ronaldo.
I don't know. New Ronaldo's kind of on the hot seat. He smacked a kid. I don't know if you guys saw that walking off the pitch.
All right, maybe I shouldn't shout out new Ronaldo. Yeah. But that has been episode 12, Edging the Truth, the Ronaldo World Cup conspiracy. Thanks for coming. That's Red Raspis. That's One Lung Low. That's Big Fudge Daddy before me. And I am, as always, Brian Shenanigan. And for once, we didn't have me actually having sex with anybody soccer-related. So,
whatever, dude. You talked about tits in the first 2 minutes of the show.
Like the first 30 seconds, bro.
All right, yes, because a Brazilian Brazil does conjure up tits to me and a Brazilian wax and all that stuff. So, yes, I enjoy a lot of things that are Brazil that are unsoccer-related. But, yes, and so that's episode 12, Edge of the Truth. Like and subscribe. Thanks for coming.
Oh, shit.
Visit edgingthetruth.com for more information and links to all our social media and podcast directories.